I'm Phil, and in this house we braai. So I'm Phil, I am the guy behind In This House We Braai on Instagram, and for me I am an Irish guy married to a South African woman, 2 kids living in Bedford. I got into braai and all things to do with kind of South African outdoor cooking simply through my wife, and being determined to try and impress her as much as I can through any type of cooking that I do. What is a braai? A braai it's a funny one. A braai for me is a noun, an adjective, and a verb. A braai is like you braai, like behind me, like this is a braai. Like it's a style of traditional South African outdoor cooking. It's about the fire, it's about understanding how you control heat through cooking with wood. But then a braai is people getting together, it's about conversation. It's a really nice word in Afrikaans, which is to kuier, which is like you party, like you have fun with people. Braai is just that natural style of enjoying the flame, enjoying the company, and because I do it, it's about enjoying the crack as well and enjoying the fun that you have with it. How did I get into braaiing? So I got into braaiing through my father-in-law, and he'll love me for saying it. But I think for me it was the very first time I went out to South Africa. It was a party which was to try and make the Irish guy feel welcome in South Africa. That some of my wife's friends put me in charge of the fire and put me in charge of the meat, and it was an absolute disaster. Everything was ruined, everything was burnt, but I loved it. I loved the idea of it, that people just get together in, doesn't matter what the weather is, the people just get together and they just enjoy each other's company, and they just enjoy the fun and the socializing and everything that goes with it. And from then on, it was just about trying to learn a bit more about it, try and develop my own kind of techniques with it, try and understand a bit more about it, trying to take a simple cake or bread or any type of normal thing that you would do inside and try and take that outside to braai, and be able to kind of have people just drop in to the house because they can smell that there's some wood burning, that there's a fire happening, and that they know that they can just arrive and braai. So the favourite dish for myself and my family is a tough one because there's a number of different things that I do, but the one thing that I always come back to is a traditional South African boerewors. Boerewors means so much to me. It was that dish that I screwed up the very first time that I did a braai. A boerewors is like, to translate it, is like a farmer's sausage. It's like generally a wild meat, a cow, a lamb, or some type of game mixed with spices, and it's a really like proper South African sausage. It's like the South African thing. It's that one type of dish that I always think about whenever I think of South Africa. And boerewors is then just one of those things that I always come back to, that we could have. I mean, if I had my way, I'd have it 4 or 5 times a week. But it's that the kids like it, that my wife adores it. It reminds her of home. It reminds me of those memories of when I go to South Africa. It's when we arrive in South Africa that my father-in-law has got some boerewors ready to put onto the fire. So boerewors, hands down, for me and my family, is that dish. So what's the most unusual dish that I've done on the braai? It's It's a really difficult one. There's two that I've done. The first one is a Braai ice cream, which, like, to do an ice cream on a fire sounds quite strange, but it's a recipe that I came across online, which is an ice cream cone that you then put all of your toppings and sprinkles into, wrap it in foil, and then put it on the fire so that it all melts into the ice cream. There's absolutely no ice cream involved in it whatsoever, but I think it's called a Braai ice cream just because it's an ice cream cone. The second one is to do a dessert. So a traditional dessert that we really love is to do a malva pudding. So yeah, definitely a Braai ice cream, because nobody ever expects you to do ice cream on a fire, and malva pudding because when you say you're doing dessert on the fire, people look at you quite strangely. What are my future aspirations? So for me, the whole thing I think of doing a Braai was originally to take part in a TV show in South Africa called The Ultimate Braai Master, which pits like teams of Braai experts in South Africa against each other. I love the idea of being able to kind of at least audition for that TV show as, you know, somebody who's not South African. Clearly, the accent gives that away, but just to really kind of embrace the Braai culture. The other thing that I think, like, what are my aspirations of a Braai and things that I do is to really, like, encourage people. Like, this time of year is when the barbecues get put back in the shed or left out on the street for scrap and things like that, that actually it doesn't need to be put away. That, like, cooking indoors doesn't just have to be indoors, that you can enjoy outdoor cooking all year around. You don't need the big fancy setups, you don't need the thermometers and the big expensive barbecue grill sets, or it's just about getting out there and enjoying and learning and taking a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, eggs, bacon, whatever it is, and taking what you would do on the stove or that you would do in the oven and just trying it over fire and just learning from it, because actually there's so much fun that you can have by doing something over fire. It's so primal, but it's how we're all kind of engineered, and it's good fun. So the top 3 pages on Instagram that I like for me are the company that I think embodies everything about me and our house and how we braai, which is Hellbent Bodevorst, or at We Are Hellbent, because it's lovely to see South African influence in Northern Ireland. It's that two cultures combined, and that sums up this house really nicely. So definitely We Are Hellbent. Secondly, Baines Whiskey, because Andy at Baines is a ridiculously knowledgeable guy on whiskey, and it is still hands down my favourite whiskey. As an Irish guy, I can't believe that I say a South African whiskey is my favourite one, and I hope I'm allowed back in Ireland because of saying it, but it's the truth. It's absolutely, with everything that's going on, with everything that's happening like around our area, Bedford Food Guide is like promoting local businesses, promoting guys that are doing stuff at home, like myself. I think it's a really positive thing that after all of this nonsense that's gone on for the last lot of months, it's a really positive influence that we can take away from everything. So that's it. Thanks very much. I've been Phil at In This House We Braai, and just a final thank you to the people that I interact with, anybody that follows my account on Instagram. It genuinely means the world to me because it's just a bit of crack at the end of the day. If anybody is interested from a you need braai wood or anything like that, then definitely please Phil the Woodman on Facebook. It's not me. It's definitely a different Phil, but he does by far for me some of the best braai wood. It's not from South Africa or Namibia or Zimbabwe or anything like that, but it works an absolute charm. At the minute I'm burning some cherry wood and it's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, thanks very much guys. Cheers. I love you lots.
See you in the morning.
In the morning, isn't it?
Get trending.